Small vans are under a lot of pressure these days. They've got to be car-like, comfortable and practical and reliable enough to let you stick as much kit in the back as you want to. So say hello to the VW Caddy, Volkswagen's attempt to tick all of those boxes. Now this is the Highline trim level. It's got all the bells and whistles, it's got that 2-litre turbo diesel injection engine, a 6-speed DSG gearbox, and I am really excited to get my hands on it. So no further ado, let's give it its very own Vanarama road test. Before we get started, I just wanted to say that I sincerely hope you enjoy this review, and if you do, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to our channel and click the bell to get notified whenever we post new content just like this. And if you are in the market for a brand new van or a pickup truck, don't forget to head to vanarama.com. Okay, so normally I'd start at the front and I'd go on about how great looking it is, but I just have to say the whole package is great looking. The VW Caddy is one of my favourite looking vans on the market right now. So now let's start at the front, now that I've got that out there. Okay, check out that big VW badge. It is iconic. There are these big chrome bars that stretch out, pull your eyes round the vehicle and into the headlights. They are very big and they improve your visibility massively in low light settings. Just below that, even more lighting, you've got fog lights at the bottom of the bumper, which is great to see because at the Highline trim level, you get body coloured bumpers instead of just half of the front of the vehicle being black plastic. Follow me around and check out those 16-inch alloy wheels. Those are very nice, very smart. The VW Caddy is designed to turn heads, and those alloys play a massive part in that. The door mirrors too, body coloured on the top and tough durable plastic on the bottom. They fold in, there's a little button on the inside. They fold when you press that button, and they're also electrically heated to make sure that on those cold days they're defrosted and fully clear and you can see everything that's behind you. The entire profile of the vehicle just looks great as well. Usually on panel vans you get these depressions to show where windows can be popped out, but on the side of the VW Caddy there's no depressions at all. It is a smooth blank canvas, which is absolutely perfect if you want to get your vehicle sign written. So there you go, like I said, it is a great looking package, and looking good continues round the back, so follow me around. Okay, so before I open up the loading bay, just check out these little circles down here. Those are your reverse parking sensors, and just under here, next to the handle, is your reverse parking camera. Very, very useful. Okay, so where's the split? Where's the 70-30 or 50-50 split that you're expecting usually at the end of a van like this? Well, it's not here. We actually have the most iconic way of getting into a VW van, and that is with the door hatch. Opens up completely to the top, and one of my favourite things about this is if it's a sunny day, you've got shade. If it's a rainy day, you've got shelter. I personally have some great memories of standing under one of these hatches when I used to be in a band and I was on my world tour of Hertfordshire. Please don't Google it. Okay, so the loading bay looks absolutely superb. You've got that excellent quality VW ply lining. It's great. The lashing points, you've got 3 down each side, bringing you a total of 6, meaning awkward loads are very, very easy to secure in place. The loading bay itself is 1.8 metres long, accessed through this 1.2 by 1.2 opening. It's a small van. You're not going to get tons and tons of stuff in here, but anything you do need to get into here, like a toolbox, something like that, you're going to have no problem. This hatch makes it very, very easy to get in and out. Between the wheel arches, you've got about 1.2 metres. You could probably scrape a pallet in here, but I wouldn't try it. But one of my favourite things that I noticed as soon as I opened the door hatch was the lighting situation. Now, a lot of other manufacturers will just stick bulb lights in, but VW have finally done what I've been wishing other van makers would do. They've stuck LED lights in there. They've got 3 powerful LED bulbs because they've realised that LED technology is not expensive. It's actually very, very cost effective, and people will appreciate it more than having to change bulbs every 5 minutes. Thank goodness VW have stuck LEDs in the back of the VW Caddy. Now, let's go around the side and have a look at the side sliding door. And, yep, there's that VW build quality again, very smooth and very easy to open. The opening is just under 1 metre wide, about 0.7 of a metre, and the bulkhead really doesn't intrude too much into it, meaning you get to take advantage of all that space. It's a nice sized, convenient door. The build quality in the loading bay alone is fantastic. The looks on the outside are also fabulous. Let's see if that continues in the cabin. Yes, 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 chime, chime, chime. Every single van seems to have chimes these days, just to let you know the door's open. Anyway, the first thing that I notice about the interior of the VW Caddy is the build quality. Critics usually say that when you sit in the front of a VW van, you feel like you're sat in the front of a VW car, and I've got to say the Caddy is absolutely no different. Okay, the steering wheel, leather lined with some nice shiny black plastic. Like I said, it all just kind of works together, and then you've got the same plastic that you'll see on the dashboard in the centre covering the horn. It just seems to work. On the left-hand side, you've got all the controls for your radar cruise control. Yeah, I'll say that again, radar cruise control. This isn't just standard cruise control. At the Highline trim level, you get radar cruise control. Fantastic. On the right-hand side of the steering wheel, you've got your phone controls, your volume controls, and in fact, these little controls on this little rocker switch right here control your driver information display, which is on the dashboard instrumentation, just between your rev counter and your speedo. Anyone who sat in a VW, an Audi or a Seat over the last few months, that display right there is going to look incredibly familiar. Moving on to the dashboard, like I said, it's tough black plastic, but it doesn't look cheap and it doesn't feel cheap. It feels rigid and it feels tough. One thing I'm sort of noticing missing on the dashboard are cup holders, but that's because they are elsewhere, and I'll get round to those a little bit later. Other small vans in this category have cup holders all over the place on the dash, but nothing anywhere else. I'll get those in just a minute. In the middle of the dashboard, you actually have this kind of sort of pitted little, it's not really a trough because it's a little bit wider than that, but it's a little storage area. You know what? I think you'd be able to stick some stuff in there, a map, books, someone else, maybe a sandwich could sit in there, maybe a bottle of water as well. Move down from there and you've got these two big vents, and right in the middle of those vents is your hazard light switch. I think that's a really convenient place to put it, and it's right below your passenger airbag indicator light as well. Very convenient places to put them. Below those two vents, you've got your climate controls. Now, there is an odd blank button here. This has a quick clear windscreen, and I immediately thought to myself, well, that's definitely where the button's going to be. I would usually expect it to be with the climate controls. It is actually down here, and there's still a blank button here. I'm a bit confused by that, but you know, it's very, very minor nitpicking. The climate control dials themselves are very nice and functional. You've got your temperature control here, your fan speed control here, and your venting direction control right there as well. But in the middle of these two outer dials, you've also got your heated seat buttons. If I just whack them there you go. You can see they've got 3 temperature settings. This one's on the highest, that's on its middle temperature setting, that's on its lowest temperature setting, and that's off. Because we're here, I'm just going to stick it on to the highest one, and when it gets hot, I'll let you know. Below the climate controls, you've got your big infotainment screen. This is also a touch screen, meaning that you can scroll through things just by touching the screen if you like, or you can use some of the controls that you've got up here on your steering wheel as well. There are radio functions, media functions, you've got your phone settings here, you've even got some voice control options here that you can have activated. You've got your eject button for your CD player, because we're still in the 90s apparently. You've got your sat nav right there. You've even got your little Maps SD card just there that slots into the left of the screen. You've got all your app settings that can be activated, and you've got your standard menu function where you can control settings and various other apps. Now, one thing to point out, this vehicle doesn't have Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, but it still does have some connectivity options. Just down here, you've got a USB socket and you've also got an aux in. So there are some other ways to connect your phone to this vehicle, and it's nice that they're in a convenient place right next to a nice little tray that you can stick your phone on. There are just above that a few blank buttons, and that's it's not a big problem, but there are just a few little blank buttons. You've also got your auto on-off switch there. You can turn it off if you like, but hey, everyone likes saving a bit of money, everyone likes having fuel economy. I just say leave it on. There's that quick clear switch that I was talking to you about again. I don't know necessarily whether that's the most convenient place for the quick clear switch to be. You know, I would usually have thought it would have been stuck up there with the climate control settings, but it's a very, very minor nitpick, as I said earlier. Okay, here's the gear stick. I mean, this is an automatic vehicle. You're really not going to have to touch this all that often, but it's nice to know that it is actually very nice and easy to use. Put my foot on the brake. If I whack it down there into sport mode, because it has a sport mode, that's cool. There's your drive setting, there's your neutral, and you've also got reverse, which, not only does it show you a proximity warning on the left-hand side of the screen, but it's also the reverse camera comes on, and you get to see everything that's behind you. Very nice and very convenient. What's that? It's a coffee cup. Yes, well, as you can see it's not being held in place too well by this cup holder down here, but you do get two of them. I think if you had a coffee cup slightly larger, it would fit in with a little bit of shove and it would be held in place nicely. But these are the ones that you're going to use the most. They do work quite well and they're very functional. They're also in a very easy to reach place just next to the handbrake. There are actually two more cup holders, but they are back here and, well, they just seem a little bit awkward. I don't really know how you reach around. I mean, if you're driving like this, the last thing you want to be doing is kind of, you hear that? I banged my elbow against the bulkhead there. It's just, yeah, very, very strange place to put them. There's a sort of a change holder here. That's quite nice to have. I mean, just toss a few pound coins in there if you need to, I don't know, go over the Severn Bridge. Oh no, you don't even have to pay for the Severn Bridge anymore. All right, well look, if you go on the M6 toll or something like that, you can shove some change just down there. And I think storage is one of those areas that, you know, there's a few things that I would probably like more of. I cannot fault the door storage. The door storage is very generous, more than big enough for a big 1 litre bottle of water. You've got this nice depression up here. You've got a little cubby up here, which actually is angled down steep enough that I don't think anything would roll out. And of course, you've got a very nice glove box down here. Now, I said it's like being in the front of a car. The glove box itself is tremendously deep. I think you actually get a little bit more room in there. You've got the case for your SD card. I think that's quite a big case for an SD card of maps. But you've also got your manual, and slotted inside alongside your manual are your locking wheel nuts as well. Now, there's also some other secret hidden storage that I only noticed on my second pass through the cabin. Just under both of these seats, you have these little hatches that drop down, and you've got some storage under the passenger seat, and you've even got another one of those under the driver's seat as well. You do get some very good overhead storage. Just up here, you've got nice big visors, and just above those is more than enough room for books, folders, box files, paperwork, whatever you want to stick in there, it'll stay in. It's got a very good lip on the edge as well, very tough and very sturdy. Now, the VW Caddy, as I've said, at the Highline trim level, I mean, it just feels like it's going to blow the competition out of the water. And speaking of the competition, let's take a look at some of the other small vans available in the small van sector right now. First up, the Mercedes-Benz Citan. Now, some people say it's not up to the usual Merc levels of luxury, but I'd still drive one, and it's got that whole is it a small van thing going on too. Next, the Nissan NV200. Yeah, it's got a bit of an odd shape and a bit of an odd size. It's neither a proper small van nor a medium van. I think there's something in the water, you know. The Renault Kangoo. This small van has been around for a while and fleet users love them, but it's got to be time for an update soon, right? And what about the Fiat Doblo Cargo? Well, payloads of 1,000 kilograms and high roof options truly make this a stronger contender than you first might think. The Peugeot Partner, Citroën Berlingo, Vauxhall Combo and Toyota ProAce City. Now, these are brothers. Say hi to the whole family. Each one is built on the same platform, but somehow still manages to stand out. How on earth did the PSA Group do that? And finally, the Ford Transit Connect. Its engine is incredibly economical and powerful, and the cabin, well, it's proper comfy. As you can see, small vans literally come in all shapes and sizes. The field is filled with plenty of variety in terms of user friendliness and quirky features, with the VW Caddy being one of the best all-round packages. There you go, all of the competition being faced by the VW Caddy in the small van sector right now. But who gives a fig about the competition? I've already got my seatbelt on and I'm sat at the steering wheel of a VW Caddy. Let's take it on the road and see if that 2 litre turbo diesel injection engine really is as powerful as all the critics are saying. Over the past few months, it doesn't actually feel like I've driven anything other than medium vans and large vans, so it's great to be behind the wheel of a small van again. And I couldn't be more delighted that it's a VW Caddy, especially because only a few weeks ago I was driving a VW Transporter. Pretty sure that review will have hit the YouTube channel by now. If not, keep your eyes peeled for it. All I need now is a VW Crafter. VW, if you're listening, love to do a Crafter. All I need to do is get a VW Crafter in and I've got the whole set. Even the most cynical of van reviewer couldn't get into a VW Caddy and not feel like they're sitting in something that's a cut above, a certain other level of quality that just other vans, I don't know, some of them capture it at their higher trim levels, but for me, when you get into a VW, it always feels nice, it always feels plush. A lot of people point to the Mercedes-Benz panel vans. as the luxury option. But I would say VW have that firmly nailed. This is the Highline trim level. I've got a beautiful leather-lined steering wheel. I've got a very comfortable heated seat, which is warming my lamb chops beautifully. The plastics in here just fit. They look great. There's no nasty seam lines. It just all seems to come together. I don't see anything out of place. There's a couple of blank buttons, sure, but everything I need is where I need it to be. It's all well thought out. It's spacious. There's lovely storage above my head just up here, which is easy to access. The one thing, the only criticism that I can level at this entire cabin is those two cup holders inexplicably stuck right behind there. They're just not in a convenient position when you're driving. That's it. That's literally it. I honestly, again, I'm literally like a broken record. It always comes down to cup holders and convenience. But the point is, in today's vans, in today's modern vans, in today's demands for what a modern van's cabin should be, cup holders are one of the most important things. We all stop for a coffee or a can of pop or whatever. We all need somewhere to stop it. And in an automatic vehicle, it's one of the easiest type of vehicles to actually have a drink while you're driving. Not a bad drink, a good drink, like a coffee or, like I say, a tin of pop. God, that sounds wrong. Oh man, I'm going to get letters. And here we are on the hill test. Now, at the moment, I'm in the third gear that the vehicle is telling me. Obviously, this is an automatic gearbox. It says it's in third gear. It's just pulled up to fourth as we crest the top of the hill. It didn't even break a sweat. I didn't even feel that we were going up a hill. Now, I don't know what it is about Audi, VW and Seat engines when they're mated to automatic gearboxes, but I just kind of lose track of where they are. Because they don't make too much noise and because the gear changes are so smooth and almost effortless and hassle-free, I just don't notice them happening. So one minute I'm driving along a residential road at 30 miles an hour, I suddenly go onto a bit of de-restricted road, other cars speed up, I subconsciously put my foot down on the accelerator, and all of a sudden I find myself at 60. It's almost like you sort of snap in and out of reality when you're driving a VW, Audi or Seat engine that's on an automatic gearbox. It's so bizarre. I don't know why, but I just don't get this with other vehicles. I was driving an automatic Vauxhall Vivaro just a few months ago, and I could always tell what gear I was in. I could always tell when it was suddenly burning out. Okay, here we go. And I'm just going to put my foot down on the accelerator, coming into a bit of de-restricted road. It's holding me in its automatic gear. Whoa, and there's a cyclist. Well, that's the end of that speed test. It's always a cyclist, isn't there? The overall comfort available at the Highline trim level is excellent. The seat is very nice. The foam it's made out of is quite nice and sturdy, but with just enough squash to let me sink into it. The seat heaters have worked incredibly efficiently as well. I've got them on the highest setting and almost within 30 seconds they were nicely toasting my rump, and it feels fantastic on a cold day like today to have a warm bum. The fan heater is also incredibly efficient. It's been on for about 3 or 4 minutes, and already the cabin is a very nice and very comfortable temperature. The quick clear windscreen has also proved its worth. It was iced up this morning, turned it on before we started filming, and within about a minute and a half, the whole windscreen had completely defrosted. Visibility is excellent. The windscreen is surprisingly large for a vehicle of this size. The passenger window and the driver window also provide excellent clear vision. The A-pillars are not that thick, so there's very little obstructing your view when you're looking to the left and right. It's really good. Perhaps the most noticeable thing about driving the VW Caddy is just how quiet it is. It's a 2-litre turbo diesel injection engine, and yet you can barely hear it. There's barely any road noise whatsoever. In fact, it's a little disconcerting. The other small vans available in the sector, primarily the PSA Group vans and the Ford Transit Connects, they do suffer from road noise, and I think that's because there's not much panelling or baffling in the doors. Whereas in the VW, the build quality of the vehicle means not only is it a comfortable drive, it's quiet. You can do a bit of thinking. I've actually found this one of the easiest road test dialogue pieces to record, just because of how quiet it is. It's really nice. It's tranquil. It's comfortable and tranquil. I feel like I can meditate, but I'm not going to, because if I shut my eyes, that would be illegal. Next to all the other vehicles I've been driving over the last few months, the VW Caddy feels slinky. It feels smooth. I pointed out earlier on in the review just how smooth the panelling is. There's no depressions in the metalwork to indicate that there are rear windows that can be popped out. It's a perfect blank canvas. It just feels aerodynamic. It just feels a little bit more quality than other things you see on the market. There's always telltale signs of, oh, I could put a window here or I could put a window there. But on the side of the VW Caddy, it just feels like it's been purpose built. The 2-litre diesel engine is mated to a 6-speed automatic gearbox, which is a DSG, which is what you used to find in the Mark 1 Audi TTs. It's a dual shift gearbox, which means effectively 2 gearboxes running next to each other, prepping the next gear to go up or down depending on how you're driving. Very, very clever, lots of moving parts, but my goodness, it puts a lot of power at your disposal. And here we go, we're just about to pull on to what I like to call Ladies Mile. Don't know why, it's just a name that all the locals call it. It's basically a mile-long stretch of open country road, which you can see the start of. And I'm going to put my foot down right now. And here we go. Straight up. The acceleration in this vehicle is wonderful. 0 to 60 in 9.4 seconds, and that is thanks to the 150 PS engine and the 6-speed DSG gearbox, which just, oh my god, it holds you until that last second, and then it boom, straight up into the next gear, keeps that power going, keeps that power feeding to the wheels. Oh, great fun to drive. I mean, I remember having a lot of fun when I was driving the Ford Fiesta sport van, but it's nothing compared to this, the VW Caddy with that 2-litre turbo diesel injection engine. Very, very good fun. Really, really cool vehicle. Nothing coming that way, nothing coming that way. Let's go! And as soon as we get out, put the power on straight away, get myself up to legal speed, 40 miles an hour. It's just a surge of power. And it sounds great as well, but doesn't get too noisy, not too much intrusion on your thinking space. This is a van for someone who likes to turn up on site, turn some heads, and turn the engine over when they get a little bit of stretch of road just to open it up. Very, very, very nice. Had a lot of fun with this today. Long way to continue, eh? So, how do we finish this one? Well, the VW Caddy is absolutely overflowing with options and additions at the Highline level of trim. But it's also fast and incredibly fun to drive. The 2-litre turbo diesel injection engine and that 6-speed DSG gearbox work together to make it incredibly fun to drive. I had a great time on the test drive. But the VW Caddy is also not afraid to wear its heritage on its sleeve, and it's good that it does because it comes from great stock. The VW Caddy at the Highline level of trim is everything you need from a modern van, and that alone has proved its value to me. How about you? If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it, subscribe to the channel and click the bell to get notified whenever we post new content just like this. And if you're in the mood to watch something else, why not click one of the links above?